We've all heard of the blue zones, the places where people live longer, better, and with more joy. But how do we take those daily habits and actually weave them into our daily lives? Today, I'm talking to Dan Buettner Jr., and we're breaking down exactly what we can do to increase our health span and make life more enjoyable right now, not someday. I also ask him the question so many of us are wondering: can you biohack your way from poor health to good health? His answer might surprise you. One simple way we can agree that you can boost your health is by adding more plant-based meals into your routine. After the show, head over to wellelephant.com to download my free cookbook made with love just for you. Inside, you'll find favorites like queso, spring rolls and peanut sauce, and lasagna. And if you're ready to really take charge of your health and even reverse disease like I did, check out my ACE plant-based eating course while you're there. Thank you for listening. I hope you know how much I appreciate you. Now let's get to the show. Hi, friend. Are you looking to age healthfully, confidently, and vibrantly? Then this podcast is for you. Smart, slightly salty, irreverent, and thought-provoking. I'm Lauren Bernick, and this is Age Like a Badass Mother. Danny Buettner, son of Blue Zone's founder Dan Buettner, is the Executive Vice President and Chief Development Officer for Blue Zones LLC. Building on the longevity work of his father and his own trips to the blue zones around the world, Danny leads a company that focuses on bringing home the best practices from our species in terms of well-being and longevity, and putting them to work for Americans to empower everyone, everywhere, to live better, longer. Please welcome Danny Buettner. Hi.
Hi, Lauren. It's great to be here. Thanks for the
Great.
opportunity to use your megaphone.
Thank you. I'm so glad to know you. And you look a little younger than my typical guest. Can I ask how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 39 years old.
Oh, you are younger. I figured you
Or
were in your
I
30s.
could also be 79 years old and just been living the Blue Zones life for so long that I've not just anti-aged, I've reverse aged.
I
But I'll leave
mean,
that as a guess.
that would be spectacular, especially since I think your dad's in his 60s. So that'd be pretty
It,
remarkable.
it'd be worth
You
a study.
You guys are amazing. So let me start by asking you, how old were you when your dad's work became really well known, and how did that affect your household?
Yeah, so Dan Sr. always took a left when everybody else took a right. And growing up, he was always an investigative journalist at heart. So gets curious. There's a question. The question requires going out into the field and meeting people and spending time there. Uh, and so a journey that led him from investigative journalism to National Geographic to biking long distance, 3 Guinness World Records, long distance biking, Alaska to Argentina, all downhill, as he puts it, around the world through the Soviet Union and across Africa. And then in 1999 was in the market for a new mystery. And that mystery was one of longevity. And that has kicked off a 25-year, quarter century adventure mission that we call the Blue Zones and the Blue Zones America story. So for me, it was always kind of a backdrop of who he is. My background has always been really clearly in the world of service. 10 years as a firefighter, city, wildland, an attorney, a consultant for small businesses. And I always knew that there'd be an opportunity to come and combine my service with the promise and the science of longevity and well-being, which Blue Zones is at the forefront. So it's been a great opportunity growing up with Dan as the founder.
I can imagine. Did he incorporate things from the blue zones into your household, like health wise? What did he incorporate?
Uh, Beans. He's a big fanatic on beans. Penny for penny, pound for pound, more protein than a steak. It's cheap. It's delicious. There's a million ways to cook it and prepare it. So we're big believers that beans are due for a big comeback in America. And he is the definition of a extrovert. So there's always friends, family, gathering, physical activity throughout, the importance of punctuating the day with a family dinner, punctuating the year with family holidays and togetherness. Those things we all kind of know instinctively. It's very human, but it's overwhelmingly supported by what his 25 years of anthropological studying in the blue zones has proven.
Yeah.
It's pervasive in the longest lived cultures on Earth.
Yeah. So are the blue zones? I mean, I've seen all of the information and I've read about it, but I think I've forgotten. Or is it the places with the most centenarians, or are they the healthiest centenarians? Or I guess by default, you're pretty healthy if you make it to 100.
Yeah, there are remarkable places that are demographically confirmed, geographically defined communities where people reach healthy age 80, 90, sometimes 100 at per capita rates that are 10 times what we get in the United States. And there's two big kickers in my book. Kicker number one is 3 out of 5 of these places are at or below the poverty line. So they don't have a Whole Foods market or a pharmacy or a $1 billion health system down the corner. They don't have any of those things. They have something else going on. The second kicker is of the 350 and counting 80, 90, 100-year olds that we've been studying, not a single one pursued health. Not
Oh,
a single one pursued longevity or pursued love or purpose or resiliency. By and large, it ensued as a byproduct of who and where. Who's their squad? Who's that tribe? Who is their social connection? And where do they live? What's that environment like? Whether it's the home environment, the work environment, the broader community environment, those things shaped these blue zones over centuries to create anomalies when it comes to longevity profile.
yeah. So that's such a good point because it's kind of just like baked in, right? Where they are, what's going on with their life, who they surround. It's baked in. And that's like, I think, the key. And I think that maybe is where we as Americans are screwing up. But you mentioned your book, um, America's Story. So can you talk a little bit about that? Is that like,
Yeah,
just talk a little
well,
bit
it's
about your book?
it's 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 not a book, but it's an amazing story. It's a living story. So everybody's familiar with the original Blue Zones. You can see it on Netflix. There's books like The One Pot Meal that just came out, and Blue
Yep,
Zones
I have it
Kitchen.
right here. If you're watching
There
on
it is. One Pot Meals.
One Pot Meals, if you are watching on YouTube, I'll show you some pictures in a bit.
There's Blue Zone Kitchen meals in grocery stores. There's the original story of the Blue Zones, which National Geographic, bless their yellow rectangular heart, continues to tell that amazing global story. But the even more poignant story uh, is the Blue Zones America story, which is American communities, American employers, American leaders, American healthcare, American individuals that are taking inventory of why is it so hard to be healthy in America? We're the richest, most abundant, most healthcare advanced nation to ever exist, and yet we have the highest chronic disease rates ever. We've got our kids are hitting midlife crisis before they get out of high school. We've got our seniors and middle age going through devastating isolation and loneliness. mental health. So, like, how is it possible that we have all these macro headwinds to our health? And oh, by the way, we spend 20% of our GDP on sick care. So where's the self care? And that's the Blue Zones America story is Americans and American communities that are taking inventory of the things that are working against us, taking lessons from the Blue Zones, partnering with us and each other to reverse engineer Blue Zones right here into their homes, into their communities, into this country, which is basically, let's make the healthy choice the easy choice for folks. If we can just do that a little bit more throughout the day, people will go much farther than if we just tell them, get on the diet and exercise train. Because as you know, that only gets you so far if you're only relying on individual discipline.
Okay, so I made a mistake. So I thought America's Story was a book. So this is more of a project. This is what you're working on. It's bringing the Blue Zones to communities, correct?
That's right. Over 90
Okay.
communities, 8 million Americans and counting are part of the Blue Zones America story.
Okay. So again, I mean, it's funny because you said the not engineered blue zones are like some of the poorest places, or not poorest, but poverty level. And
Mm-hmm.
here in America, we're like, like you said, a wealthy country. And I guess, again, it's baked in. It's baked into how we live. So can you go through like some of what you do to make the communities Blue Zone friendly?
Yeah,
And where are some of the places?
yeah, we've got special longstanding partnerships in small towns, suburban, big cities. First one was in rural Minnesota, Albert Lea, Minnesota, community of about 20,000 people. Since then, we've done communities as large as Fort Worth, Texas, over 1 million people. We've got amazing partners in demonstration projects right now in Jacksonville, Florida, in Riverside County, California, in Tacoma, Washington, in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So it's a special work. It's a movement work, and the name of the game is this: chronic disease is exploding. Well-being is sliding for Americans, especially after COVID, especially with social media. We're spending all this money on sick care, which is inherently reactive, waiting for people to get sick before treating them. And we know that individual discipline's a muscle. You're a single mom, you're a school teacher or a nurse or a firefighter or a dock worker or a UPS driver. Those days are long. It's hard. You get worn out. It's not easy to always go out of your way to go for a walk, to call a friend, to eat the right thing that day. Discipline's a muscle, and all muscles fatigue. And so what we do is we partner with remarkable mayors and employers and healthcare systems to look at three things: people, places, and policy. Seeing if you can get 15, 20% of a community excited about joining a local movement. They get to identify with it. It's their story, not another Blue Zone story. But there's some aspect of good old fashioned American experiment going on. Self-determination. This is who we are today, and this is who we want to become. And I know you talk to a lot of people at the individual level. It's true that it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Turns out the same is true for groups of people or even populations. So people's one. Places. What are your food options when you have a lunch break? What's your ecosystem of restaurants, of bars and cafes, and of grocery stores? And are the healthy choices prominent and affordable and promoted? Or are you going through the checkout lane at the grocery store and the gas station, and it's like a sweet, salty gauntlet of unhealthy foods? Or the schools. What are the schools doing to start getting kids some good habits while they're still young, before they start getting some risk factors for disease? And what about faith-based? The churches, the synagogues, mosques, places where people can gather and share healthy habits with each other. and employers. And then the third P is policy, that invisible hand that, you know, uh, you go to a community and you feel like you got 30% more steps in just because you went to that community. People talk about Europe all the time. There's places like that. And then there's other places where, God, I've been living here. I've been in my car nonstop. And so policy can go a long way in affecting tobacco and alcohol access, built environment, and food system. And if you can get not a silver bullet, but a silver buckshot of nudges, um, think of the architecture of people's choices that they have. You can start augmenting individual discipline, augmenting
Hmm.
that individual muscle so that people can make better choices because it's part of the scaffolding in their life, and they're doing it with other people. They're not doing it alone. And and then the final P is publicity, getting people to celebrate those good behaviors. Because of course, if you're getting celebrated, you're reinforcing those good behaviors. And it's just so funny to me how a community is a lot like us, a lot like individuals.
Yeah, it's I just got back from New York. I live in Austin, Texas, and
Okay,
you
cool.
you drive everywhere. And I was just saying to my husband, like, it's so annoying because I'm getting like naturally 15,000 steps a day in New York. And in Austin, if I didn't go out of my way, I'd get like 500 steps. And that'd be just walking to my car. And it just drives me crazy that I have to go out of my way and walk myself like a dog. So is that something, that you build into the community as walkability?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you would love some of the things that these policy experts come up with, that these communities are incorporating in their master plan. For example, I've seen small town USA make one policy change. That was, they had a main street, which, like a lot of American main streets, is dying.
Right.
And the speed limit was 25 miles an hour, and they were going to increase it to 40, help people get where they need to go. And we came in and we said, time out. Let's lower the speed limit from 25 to 10. And they did it as part of a commitment to blue zones. And you know what happened? Noise pollution went down, air pollution went down. It became safer to walk with the cars not going as fast and as loud and as polluting. And pedestrian foot traffic came back to Main Street. And then the retail businesses came back because the pedestrian traffic came back. Then the commercial real estate values went up. And then the surrounding residential property values started to climb. And they underwrote more infrastructure connecting the neighborhood sidewalks to Main Street. And so you created this amazing economic development and physical activity ripple effect. And all you did was change one sign's speed limit.
Mm, that's incredible. That's really, you know, and do you do other things in the community? Like you mentioned grocery stores. I mean, there's some places that don't have healthy grocery stores where they sell the beans that they need to eat or the veggies. And I love your shirt, by the way, veggies and vino. That's such a great blue zone. Live longer, better. That's awesome. That's such a great shirt. Um, that's my diet. I love that.
There you go.
But I mean, do you do things like that? Like set up a little happy hour? Do you buddy people together? Do you, make things like in the community where people come together or, encourage grocery stores, like you said? What
Yeah.
other things do you do?
Oh my God, there's so many evidence-based things. So, for example, a restaurant, favorite restaurant in town, wants to join the local Austin Blue Zones movement and be a part of the 15, 20, 25% of restaurants that are going to become Blue Zones approved. And we're going to say, here's a menu of 40 things. You only got to pick like 15 of them that you're going to do to make the healthy choice, the easier choice for your patrons. They're cost neutral tweaks. These are people running a business after all, but you're going to be celebrated and we're going to bring people in who want to be healthy. And one of the things might be, the sides. You get your favorite club sandwich. Go ahead, have your club sandwich. We're not vegans. We're not trying to take choice away. But you might be surprised that since your favorite deli became Blue Zones approved, this default side was fresh fruit instead of chips. And in this country, in America, in Texas, if I want my fries and my chips, I'm gonna get my fries and my chips. Well, you can still have them. You just have to ask for them. Say, no, I wanted fries or chips. You can still have it. But in a Blue Zone approved restaurant, the default was the fresh fruit. And guess what happens 9 times out of 10? People eat the damn fruit.
Really?
So you're not messing with the business model. You're not taking away people's choices. You're just changing what some of the defaults are. And sales go up, healthy food sales go up. When it comes to people, we have a bunch of things. We have this special thing called a moai, and you'll love this. A moai is a Okinawan cultural institution where when you're a 4 or 5-year-old boy or a 4 or 5-year-old girl, mom and dad bring you down to town square and you're put into a group of 4 or 5 boys, 4 or 5 girls, and you travel through life together. And that is your moai. That's your squad. And you have 2 jobs: take care of each other and be stewards for your community, for your heritage, for your roots. And these moais, they last 60, 70, 80, 90 years. And we have these amazing women who've been in moais for 90 plus years. They still get together every day, drink a little sake, gossip about the neighborhood, gossip about their grandkids, argue about who that hot guy liked more in 1947.
Yeah.
But the power is that you're not expecting people to go it alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So at Blue Zones, we do moais. We have thousands and thousands of moais in each of these communities that have different thing: a pickleball moai, a mahjong moai, a walking moai, purpose workshop moai. And you're getting back to getting people out of the house, off the screen, and practicing some things together.
That is really beautiful. I mean, I guess I'm a lucky person. I have my own moai just naturally. My best friends, a lot of them are, since I'm 10 years old when I moved to
Wow.
Texas from New York. Yeah, and I had like a big slumber party for my birthday,
Yeah.
and had my 6 best friends. My new friend was from when I was 18, and so they mean everything to me. They're crazy. They are we. It was a literal shit show when they came over and spent the night. It was nuts. We were in my pool till 4 a.m, but we were laughing our asses off, and I mean, it was so much fun. But if you are not lucky enough to have that, then I mean, that's so important. I love it. So are you matching? You're obviously not matching up little kids, are you? This is just, you're not matching people up maybe, or are you just making activities so that
Yeah.
they'll naturally gravitate to their own thing?
We're setting up those opportunities that they can find each other.
Okay.
And now you were blessed, maybe because of who you are or luck or something, that you had those girlfriends at such a young age and those
And
strong
guy friends.
relationships.
There's
And
2 guys in there too.
yeah,
Yep.
and that is easily adding a decade to your lifespan,
Yes.
is having those relationships. I think of the old George Carlin quote. Remember the old comedian?
Oh yeah.
It's not just about adding more years to your life, but adding more life to your years.
Yep.
Of course, that's relationships and friends, and beyond that, the right kind of friends goes a long ways too. So we know from the CDC that your 3 best friends, Lauren, have a 156% contagion factor on your habits, on your behaviors. So if your 3 best friends' idea of a good time is going to the bar and drinking beer and eating nachos every single day, we don't recommend dumping friends, but augmenting with a few friends that want to go jump in the pool at 4 a.m. and have fun and be active. And so it's so critical in anything that we do that we're helping people find each other, and putting them in a situation where they can take that journey together.
Hmm. Yeah, that's I like that you mentioned that because I would not say these are my healthiest friends. Luckily, most of them live in Houston where I grew up. And so I don't see them all the time because some
They
of
sound
them
like
are
the
healthy, but
badass.
yeah,
They
huh?
sound like the badass mothers.
They are badass mothers. I'm telling you, these people are cuckoo, but we laugh so much. But yes, I do in real life on more of a daily basis surround myself with people who are more like I am, more interested in health and that kind of thing. So I get that. Do you speaking of health, like I just see all these biohackers and all these podcasts with these people. What are these people getting wrong? And like, can you biohack your way out of bad health into good health? What do you think of all that?
I've read a little bit on epigenetics and expanding the telomeres, and I believe you can biohack with lifestyle and behavior. That you literally add length to your telomeres and you activate the healthy expressions in your epigenetics by having good lifestyle, low stress, love and purpose, and move naturally, which isn't necessarily being sedentary and hitting the gym for an hour, but you're moving naturally outside, whether it's getting from one place to the next, or forest bathing and eating the right food, and worshiping or downshifting or meditating. That those things are best practice from our species for anti-aging, for reversing certain disease and risk factors for disease, and even, yes, biohacking. And I'm not a biohacking expert, but this is the longevity science that I'm basing this off of.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm more thinking about supplements and all kinds of, I don't know, crazy things like that. But you're just talking about doing it the old-fashioned way with lifestyle and
Yeah,
diet.
I am. I think, for example, GLP-1s.
Yeah, let's talk
GLP
about that.
GLP-1s, I think, give people a head start. If they need a head start, give them that head start. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what the long-term effects are. But GLP-1s without behavior change and lifestyle change as a sidecar to it is economically unsustainable for whoever's subsidizing that GLP-1 for you, whether it's the government or your employer. But B, more poignantly, you're never going to get off of it. Uh, and who knows what you're exposing your life to. Whereas if you can use it as an on ramp to get onto healthy behaviors, give yourself some momentum. Momentum kills the monster. But then off ramp the actual medication. I think that sounds like a good recipe at this point.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's a fair compromise on things. So you're 39, you've seen all this research. What are your non-negotiables so that you can age well? What are you doing now so that when you're 65, 70, you're going to be healthy?
Good question. Purpose. People that have purpose live 5 to 7 years longer than people who don't. And when I say purpose, it's not a paycheck. It's not a career. It's really thinking about what gets me out of bed in the morning, gets me excited, makes me feel like I'm expressing myself. In America, one of the most dangerous years for mortality for Americans, I'll tell you the two most dangerous. The first is the year you're born because you're vulnerable as an infant. The second, you want to guess?
I'm going to say 74.
The year you retire.
Oh,
Huge uptick in Americans
really?
who die within 6 months of retirement. Why do you
What?
suppose that is?
I mean, they don't have anything to do.
So I was a
No
firefighter
purpose.
for 10 years and I watched senior firefighters count down the days until their pension vest. And a lot of them, the day that pension vest, they found the lazy boy. And atrophy of the body leads to atrophy of the mind, leads to atrophy of the spirit. In places like Okinawa and Costa Rica, you know what the word for retirement is?
I don't think they have one, do they?
Right. It's a trick question. It's a Western construct. It doesn't exist. Instead, they have a vocabulary for purpose. So for me, my non-negotiables are I don't ever want to quote unquote retire. I want to have purpose, even if I take my foot off the gas a little bit. Always have something to wake up to, something to look forward to, some way to give back. Uh, and then the other non-negotiable is we've heard of food as medicine. I recently have subscribed to the idea that motion is medicine, that
Mm-hmm.
keeping yourself going, always stacking the wins, leveling up, learning, being a student, having control of your hubris, and momentum. Momentum kills the monster. So I think keeping moving and having purpose. If I can white knuckle those two things for the next 5 or so decades, I think it'll serve me well.
I think that's good advice. So you mentioned that you were a firefighter. So you got to go into homes of real Americans on not good days. And I'm not talking about fires, but like when you were called for emergencies, what kind of things were you seeing?
Well, I was in a community a city that had four major highways.
Where was it?
First ring suburb, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. So suburb of about 60,000 Americans. And we saw a lot of car accidents. We also had a large senior living uh, campuses and housing. And so we had a lot of what we call lift assists, which is elderly people who are often living alone, who simply fall down and they need somebody to come pick them up. Uh, and you see that on a day-to-day basis, to your point, whether it's a tragedy is the worst day of their life, or it's simply somebody whose way of life is in isolation, requires institutions to step in uh, to get them through. Um, but you also see the very best in people. You know, I'm a big believer in first responders and the heroics and the sacrifice that they make and that their families make. And you see amazing neighbors and amazing people who are in tougher circumstances than many of us are in, and they're still able to put a smile on their face and keep going every single day. Um, so for me, that I'm cheesy. That's the kind of stuff that makes me a really proud American, really proud neighbor, and keeps my gas tank full.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, I remember that my mom's husband we had to get a lift assist for him. Like, I think I mean, he's gone, so I can say this. I wouldn't embarrass him, but, he couldn't get up off the toilet. Like one day he just sat down and then he couldn't get up. And it was so sad that, my mom's like calling her friends and they're like, we can't get him. He weighs like 250 pounds. We can't get this guy off the toilet. We're old too. Like you got to call. And so, you know, the fire department came and helped him. And, it wasn't long after that they moved into, an independent living place and then assisted living and,
Mm.
all that comes with it. And it is really sad that I think, can't care for our elders in this country like the way that it's done in other countries. We're not set up for it. One, I feel like people are sicker here than in other places like the blue zones. And so you would have to devote your life to caregiving for this person and diapering them and think, and they don't, tell me if I'm wrong. Do they have, like, are their elderly population that sick and require that much care in other places?
No,
I mean,
no. I
on a
mean, there's
whole.
there's in some of the places there's certainly government subsidized uh, at home health, people that go and visit them to check in on them, to walk them to church, or to make sure they have what they need, or even just to spend time with them. But you're right. They there's still this community fabric that takes care of everybody throughout the spectrum of the community age and life, whether the youth all the way to the very elder. But to your point, one of the things is just their level of infirmity and morbidity, which is a huge isolating factor. There's these badass mothers in Okinawa, 95-year-old women who are getting off and up and off the ground of their living room, hosting in living rooms off the ground 30 times a day. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
like
remember
30
seeing
air
that.
squats every single
Yes.
day. They're gardeners. So there's another 30 air squats of taking care of their gardens. I mean, you and I probably both know Americans who are 50 can't do 60 air squats in a day. And so, uh, yeah, it's going to require courage. It's not enough for us as an American society to have the wisdom to know that we need to make the healthy choice, the easy choice. It requires the courage, whether you're the head of your household or whether you're the one looking in the mirror, or whether you're a mayor or a CEO, uh, or a primary care doctor. It requires courage to make the healthy choice the unavoidable choice.
Hmm. Yeah. And what should we all be doing now, no matter what age we are? What should we, eating beans, hanging out with friends, getting
You go to
natural movement? What else?
bluezones.com and sign up on the newsletter, which has daily, weekly tips from the longest lived people on earth and those best practices. Uh, find that right tribe is a really big one. Take inventory of your life, and what are the things that are permanent, semi-permanent things in your life that nudge you to healthy choices or that nudge you to unhealthy choices. And until you rearrange some of those things uh, in your architecture, in your personal architecture, it's you're going to be fighting uphill, because in America, it's not the healthy choice that's the prominent choice. It's the unhealthy choice that's the prominent choice. So a little bit of uh, a little bit of elbow grease up front to set yourself up for success, so you can kind of almost set it and forget it. Not quite. You still have to have some willpower and discipline, but I think that idea of taking inventory is what I'd recommend.
Yeah. I mean, this just keeps coming up, like having it baked in, having it in the scaffolding. So, maybe having your pantry and your fridge stocked with healthy foods like, beans and lentils and fruits and vegetables and whole grains
And
and things
nuts.
like that. So that nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big. Yeah, you're right. You think about what's on your countertop and clear the counter space in the kitchen and have a bowl of nuts or fruit there. So when you're walking by, that's what you're snacking on versus the chips or the M&Ms. And if you have to have them in the house, which we all do, put them way up high, way down low, out of sight, out of mind, as much as possible. But you're right. And actually, Dan Sr. wrote a book called The Blue Zones Challenge. And the Blue Zones Challenge is literally a how-to guide. I think it's like $11 paperback to help people take inventory of their closet, their bedroom, their kitchen, their fridge, their friend group, their purpose, to make those little tweaks that you can make in your personal life radius.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Way to go, Dan Sr. And so speaking of I just wanted to show, in case anybody's watching on YouTube, the Blue Zone Kitchen's one pot meal. So, okay, this is a couple things that caught my eye. Zug. Okay, had never heard of this. It is a sauce. I love a sauce. So one cup of parsley, 1 cup of cilantro, garlic, serrano peppers, cumin, coriander, cardamom, and then you have a half cup of extra virgin olive oil. I don't eat oil, so I would leave that out. But
All
I
right.
do the Esselstyn protocol. I reversed my heart disease by doing that. That's kind of how I came into
I saw
this
that.
realm. So, but I might put some I know that this is done with, it says with a mortar and pestle, but you could put it in a blender or something like that. I would probably add in maybe some walnuts and put it in like my mini chopper or something. So you can do that, but then you could put that on. You have a gorgeous roasted cauliflower in here. Um, but like I said, I love a sauce. That's yeah, me out.
Are you a big crock pot person?
I'm not. Why? Do you have a suggestion?
Well, these one pot meals, part of the reason that it was set deliberately for one pot is there's a million ways to make cheap, affordable food taste great when you slow cook, simmer them over time. But
Yeah.
Americans are busy. Americans are
Yes.
busy. Americans, some can't afford an entire kitchen entree of
Right.
tools and utensils and pots and pans. And so having just one pot that you can go to for a bunch of different healthy meals, throw it all in there, crank it up, forget about it, go pick up the kids at school, go to work, come home, and it's done and ready to eat
Yeah.
is part of the deliberation of one pot meals.
Yeah, that's so smart. I and now that you're saying that, actually, when my kids were younger, I probably did use a crock pot more. But now, like, I work at home, and so I could run in the kitchen and stir a pot, and I don't know. I love tinkering around in the kitchen, but not everybody
Oh,
does, and not everybody has the time. So
yeah.
that's good. And then I love this creamy mac and cheese. That's a gorgeous one. That was, I always love mac and cheese. And then the other thing that caught my fancy, where is it? Let's see. They're all gorgeous. These are all beautiful meals, by the way. You guys did a great job on this cookbook. Veggie forward shepherd's pie. I love,
Yeah.
look at that with the lentils and potatoes. Oh, yum. So, yeah, everybody should check that out. Um, yeah, and I love the idea that you've just made them one pan, one sheet, one pot to make it easier, because that is really, I know that time is a luxury and I'm very fortunate to have that. So I appreciate that you guys made this beautiful book.
Yeah,
It-
yeah, it's got to taste good and it's got to be easy to prep.
mhm.
Otherwise, most people who aren't chefs in their own right, like yourself, won't stick to it.
Yeah,
And so, if you want to get them on a little healthier track, taste good, easy to do, they'll keep coming back to it.
yeah, I agree. Um, I typically ask, like, what's your best piece of advice for aging well? But I feel like the whole podcast has been your best piece of advice. I mean, do you have any little nugget left in you, or
I don't. I don't.
I mean,
It's you've gotten all my best.
you've given us a lot. I mean, I definitely think that my nugget from you is just kind of prepare your environment for success. I feel like that's been your big message to, at least in my mind. And then who do you admire for the way they're aging?
My badass mother. My badass mother. I mean,
Mm,
absolutely. She came over from southern Spain for love and had 3 kids, and by and large had to raise those 3 kids alone. And the kids had some of the kids had special needs, and she went through a lot, far away from her mom and her sisters in Spain, working as a teacher, raising 3 kids. in a foreign culture. And go figure, when you've been through the fire, you come out the other side with this iron strength that now she's the happiest person on earth. I mean, she meditates and does yoga and travels with her husband, and she's an involved grandma. And just the grace, she never broke her grace throughout all of that. And for me, it's it's just a lesson that, back to the blue zones, none of these people lived easy lives. They're not drinking mai tais on a beach somewhere. They have stress. They worry about money. They worry about their kids like we do. They have bad things happen, but it always makes them stronger. And
Yeah.
and so and as far as anti-aging and motion and medicine, I can't keep up with my own mother. So she's my anti-aging hero for sure.
That's a good point that you brought up about their lives aren't necessarily easy, but I feel like they find a way to manage the stress. Whether it's meditation or yoga or having a glass of wine with your friend in the evening or whatever, whatever it is. Like,
Totally.
yeah, you have to find a way to manage that stress. Can I be nosy? Are your mom and dad still married?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, sometimes because something ends doesn't mean it was a failure.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that you brought her up because, I really everybody kind of is familiar with your dad, but we haven't talked about your mom. What's her name?
Rafaela.
Raphael. Oh, she has a beautiful name.
Yep. Yep.
Rafaela. I bet she is a beautiful person. I love that you brought her up. Thank you. And lastly, just one question for fun. What's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
I went to a Carlos Santana concert in the early 2000s in Denmark, uh, while doing some summer work over there, and it was a big festival called Roskilde Festival, and it was rainy and muddy, and all these Nordic folks were just being Nordic folks, and Carlos Santana comes out and he just explodes upon with his electric guitar and his style. So that was one of those radical moments where you're like, this is cool.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I love music. That's probably, especially living in Austin, we go see live music all the time.
Yeah.
And I mentioned we were in New York, but then we also went to upstate New York because my husband wanted to see the site of Bethel Woods where Woodstock was. And I this just happened a couple of weeks ago. And you talk about Carlos Santana. We watched these videos of him at Woodstock. I want to tell you, talk about shredding.
Oh,
This guy, I think him and Jimi Hendrix really stole the show. I mean, I have always liked Carlos Santana, but I don't think I really appreciated him until I saw that performance at Woodstock. It was incredible. Have you ever seen that video of him
I,
at Woodstock?
I definitely watch Woodstock documentaries, and I might have to go back and see if I can get a clip of young Santana shredding.
Oh, and it was unbelievable. I mean, yeah, that's such a good one. Yay, yay, Danny. Good job.
Lauren, thank you so much for having me
Thank
on.
you. I just really, really appreciate all the work that you guys have done in helping us to age better. So thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to sharing our conversation on my end.
Thank you, Danny. Take care. Bye
You too.
bye. Thanks for listening, friend. From my heart to yours, be well until we meet again.